Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon, and today we're going to do a bit about healthcare. That would be our main focus. And of course, some current affairs, do a little housekeeping, and keep them honest. We'll take a quick break and come right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
I had the pleasure of meeting a 93-year-old lady who had her daughter track me down. She is a fan of Simon Says and she wanted to meet me. So I went to visit her. We had a great visit. We chatted a lot. We talked all sorts of things. She's such a lovely older lady with all her faculties at 93. Her birthday was the day before. And I visited the day after her birthday. And in talking, we spoke of, what's happening in Grenada right now. I mean, she's 93, so she'd been through the ringers. And healthcare came up. And her daughter, who was sitting there, gave me a story. And the truth is, it sounded like a movie, and not just an ordinary movie, a horror movie. She had lost her brother, who, of course, her mother's son, and her only son as well. She had 3 daughters and 1 son. And I still can't, I can't believe. Every time you hear a horror story coming from the general hospital, coming from our health system, you think it can't get any worse, but it can. The gentleman contracted sepsis, an infection called sepsis, and hospital-acquired pneumonia, and died at the general hospital. He complained about a pain on his diaphragm to his sister. They didn't live together, but they lived close by. And he complained about this pain. He came over and complained to the sister. And in a few days, he came back and showed her what looked like, she said, swollen glands in the groin area. And so it got her a little bit worried. And she decided to take him to the emergency. As usual, the emergency, and not only the emergency in Grenada, most hospitals you go to, the ER, they call it ER, or the AE, the A&E, you spend hours and hours and hours, sometimes almost 24 hours in some cases. So they did spend quite a long time there. Sometime in the morning of the next day, they finally left the hospital. And they were told they needed to do some blood tests. Only 2. Only a couple of the ones they needed could have been done at the general hospital, at the lab at the general hospital. And the others, they would have had to go to a private laboratory to do it. So she said, okay, we're here. And that's a big man. It's not like he's a child. And she has to struggle with him because he's in pain, he can't walk well, all of that. And so she said, okay, so let's do the ones here, one time as I'm here. and then I'll take him to the private laboratory the next day or the same day or whenever. They told her that she couldn't do the test without paying up front. She had to pay for them up front. When they told her the cost, it was going to cost over $600. Of course, I don't know many people that walk around with that type of money in their purse. And she left home in a hurry and all of that. She didn't have that amount of money. So she explained to them and that she can pay for it before she collects the results. You have the results, you don't have to give her the result until she pays the money. Anyhow, they said they refused bluntly. The young lady that was dealing with them, she refused bluntly. And she was like, but it's going to be really tough for me. And she had her mom at home that she looks after as well. And to go around and come back and forth like that, so she said, well, let me see the supervisor. Who's the supervisor? The supervisor came and she told her what was going on. And she said, well, that's the policy. The policy is the policy. And she said, well, please help me because of my situation. So the supervisor said to her, well, how much money you have? Just give me what you have, and then you pay the rest when you come to collect the results. Fine, they did that. He did the blood test, and they went home. In a couple of days, he got really, really ill. His body was swelling. He was in a lot of pain. It's almost like his organs were shutting down. And so in the wee hours of the morning, she gathered him up again and went back to the emergency. There they told they told her that they would have to admit him and that they need to do a biopsy, which they would do the following morning at 8 o'clock. Again, she didn't have the money. It was $800. She didn't know she'd have had to do a biopsy. $800. And so again, you have to pay upfront, as they told her. She said, okay, she don't mind, but she can't pay it now. And she cannot get back to the hospital before 8 the following day. She has her mom, as I said, she has to take care of her mom, make sure she's settled, feed her, bath her before she can leave home and stuff. So she said she didn't get back to the hospital until about early afternoon, sometime after 1, around 2. And that's when she paid. And so they did the biopsy around 3 o'clock. He had to stay at the hospital for a few days, and then he was discharged. Being ill, she took him over to their home, where she and her mom lives. During the morning time, she got up, she went to see what was going on. That's, night, if you want to say night, but in the morning, maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, thereabout, she went to look to see what was, how he was doing. And she said she saw the bed was wet, and she was like, Lord, he peed in the bed. But when she went closer, she wasn't smelling anything, no urine or anything. And she checked and she realized it wasn't in fact urine, but it was some sort of watery fluid. And it was coming out from the incision where they did the biopsy. So she said, no, this is not good. So she took him back to the emergency. She got there around 5 a.m. And she said she met a couple, an older couple, and they said they were there from about 3 o'clock, but they saw no one, all up to when she got there about 5 o'clock. So she sat, joined the line with her brother, and they sat there and they waited a couple hours, and she saw, well, no. So she got up and she knocked on the door, and someone came out. I'm not sure who it was. She wasn't sure who it was either, who was a nurse, who was security, she wasn't sure. And the person said that, oh, we're not starting until 8 o'clock. No, here am I thinking, the emergency, the A&E. I thought that was 24 hours. Okay, so she said, so she sat back, and 8 o'clock came, and according to the people would say, no stir. So she got up. At that time, becoming a little bit angry and frustrated, and she knocked on the door really hard with her closed fist, and someone came out who the doctor, as she said, came not out, halfway. He put the door halfway, you see in half his body, and said to them, they're short-staffed, and they could only see real emergencies. By this time, 2 mothers had come to the emergency with their kids with respiratory issues. And babies, toddlers. So she said, what exactly are real emergencies? And he said, persons with respiratory problems. If not, you need to go see a private doctor or go to the health center in your district, which most of them not functioning at. So she said the elderly couple have been there since 3 o'clock, they got up and left. And she decided, I'm not leaving, and explained her story. I mean, the hospital is where he did the incision to do the biopsy, and you can't, and she come there with him leaking, and you want to tell her, go somewhere else. So she said, no, I'm not leaving. And she explained the story. And so they agreed to see them. Oh, however, turned to one of the mothers and said to her, in so much words that he didn't think that her baby was an emergency because he didn't see the chest heaving, as they would say, right? Anyhow, they saw them, and they had to accept him on the ward again. They said he's gathering fluid, and the fluid is leaking out on his side. That was the diagnosis. Stayed at the hospital a few days, went back home. And this went on, she said, for 5 times. And at the 5th time, when she brought him back to the hospital, she said, listen, to the doctor that was on call, I need to know what's going on with my brother. This is not making sense. And the doctor calmly told her, the truth is, your brother contracted an infection, sepsis, at the hospital here, and has developed hospital pneumonia. And it's not looking good. His prognosis is not good. It's not looking good at all. And she said, she looked at him like, are you serious? And a little later, she saw the doctor who dealt with him before and said what she was told. And he too said, yes, that is what happened. He got an infection at the hospital and he developed sepsis. And he is dying, more or less. He's not going to make it, the doctor said. And she then said, a nurse told her, she believed that the implements used on her brother were not sterilized, to be all sterilized at all. So she left him, went home in great despair, of course. Now, how's she going to tell her mom that? Right? She did. And they're there waiting on the call. And on, I think it was what did she say, the 12th? On the 12th, I think it was, of October, she got the call. And that her brother, if she needs, that call where they say, if you want to see your loved one alive, come now. And that it wasn't visiting hours, but they would allow her to sit with him. How kind. After the man get infected, you want to say, you're going to give her the time to sit with him because it's not visiting hours. Anyway, she did. She went to the hospital. She sat with him. She spoke to him. He couldn't respond, but the doctors told her that he could hear her. So she spoke to him and told him how much she loved him and the family loved him. And and to make himself make it right with the Lord and all of those things. But some personal things that I can't say here on air. And then she hugged and kissed as he passed away. False. To date, she has not, her family has not received the results of the biopsy, which they said will take 8 weeks. This is 5 months later, or none of the tests that he did. The blood test, nothing. They have no idea. They've asked for it. They told them that they are records of the hospital, but they can have a sit down with her. A couple of doctors and her, they can have a sit down, and she's been trying to get this sit down for a good couple of months now. And while I was there, she actually called the administrative office and spoke to the lady there. And she couldn't give her a date. She could, up to that point, couldn't give her a date when she would sit with the doctors to discuss what had happened with her brother. And my new friend, the 93-year-old lady, she wept and wiped her tears away as she wept bitterly. And she said to me, Jenny, I cried every day for my son. I loved him, he loved me. They killed my son, she said. She rested her head on my chest as I wiped her tears. I kept wiping her tears as she cried bitterly for her son. Imagine at 93, you don't think you will outlive your child. And it's not that, but they don't even know what was wrong with him to start with. But carelessness on part of the health service, he died. You know, our administration, our government, they don't seem to understand the urgency of having a proper healthcare system. And we don't expect it to be perfect, but a proper healthcare system. The Princess Alice Hospital, they have put up a sign a month or so ago saying they could only see emergencies because they too are on this. I think I have a clip that was in the news.
The notice circulating on social media reads, only accidents and emergencies will be seen as we are currently severely short-staffed. Thank you for your understanding. In investigating the authenticity of the note, MTV News contacted Health Minister Jonathan Lacrette, who stated that he's unable to give an official comment, but instead referred us to Mava Primus Joseph, administrator at the Princess Alice Hospital. When contacted, Ms. Joseph stated that she is unaware of the situation and suggested that we contact Permanent Secretary Naomi Jeremiah. Efforts to contact P.S. Jeremiah proved futile.
So that was the Princess Alice Hospital, and now we're hearing that the same story is with the General Hospital. They're understaffed and can't see can only see real emergencies. But to show you the proof, the gentleman who died, I have a copy of the death certificate to show what he died from, signed by Dr. Sean Charles. So there we go. That's the death certificate of this gentleman who went in there for what some of us might think it might have been simple. You get swollen glands all the time. It may not have been. However, he got infected. He got infected at the hospital and died. Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, the administration, the Minister for Health, the Prime Minister, somebody we begging, please help us. Please try and make this health system somewhat better. Let us try and save lives. Let us try and save lives. It is obvious that there's no major move to fix nor stabilize our healthcare system in the immediate, so as to save lives while we await the new teaching hospital. By the time the hospital comes, we wouldn't have people, or we all going to be dead. Who we putting in this hospital? Yeah? Our hospitals and medical stations are under-equipped, understaffed, with little or no medication, materials, equipment, implements. All of the fancy chaps coming from the administration, the Minister of Health, and their colleagues cannot save lives. The posing cannot save lives. It certainly did not save the lives of a young child who went to the hospital with stomach pain. They treated her for gastro and sent her home. When the pain persisted, her parents brought her back. It was too late. She had a ruptured appendix and died. It was too late to save her life. We have to be careful what it is. They're not experienced. We're dealing with mostly junior doctors. We're the consultants. What is going on up there at the hospital? We purchasing lands. We paid them 15 million on lands, and we posing on these lands. There's a photo of the Prime Minister and his deputy Prime Minister, his acting Prime Minister, posing. They had several of them posing. I couldn't find the others I was looking for. Where, you know, the ones where they're always looking in the distance? I have no idea what it is they just be looking at. But all the ministers, whenever they buy a box drain or they're looking in the distance, posing, while people are dying. The promise to put healthcare first, to put healthcare on the front burner, was nothing more but a promise. Another foot and mouth communicable disease carried by the Prime Minister, and most of his colleagues have seemed to catch it. We have to, let's hear what the Prime Minister had to say about healthcare and what they were going to do.
Transforming our healthcare system is the single most important priority for this administration. Our ultimate goal is to transform Grenada into the health capital of the Eastern Caribbean. This means the highest quality in healthcare facilities and services with access for all, underpinned by a culture of healthy lifestyles. Mr. Speaker, the former administration touted healthcare as a priority. However, there was absolutely no plan to develop the health sector. The facilities were ignored, and our healthcare professionals were treated with disregard. Our nurses in particular were fleeing in droves, and critical services were not provided. Mr. Speaker, our citizens were, and still are, literally afraid to be committed to our hospitals for care. This administration, Mr. Speaker, is committed to delivering on the quality of healthcare that our people deserve. Our health is our greatest asset, and therefore quintessential to the transformation agenda. And so, Mr. Speaker, we recognize that strengthening our human resource capacity is going to be critical if we are going to transform our healthcare sector. The government is taking concrete steps to address the human resource capacity challenges facing the healthcare sector. Of great concern is the mass exodus of our nurses. We have engaged the nursing fraternity and have listened to their concerns, which include poor working conditions, job insecurity, nurse shortages, and inadequate compensation. Mr. Speaker, we will move swiftly to address the regularization of our nurses and the training of more nursing professionals.
Now, none of what he said they would do, all this swiftly, moving swiftly, and to address, the nurses are still leaving. Never before have we had incidents where they actually have to put up a notice or come out and say that they're understaffed. It is worse than it was before. None of what you promised happened. And all that you said was happening is happening now and is worse than it was before. The health system since the 24th of June 2020 has worsened. And here we have public servant, the president of the PWU, agreeing with me.
And I would just want to go on record as my position. I don't think healthcare has remained the same. I don't think healthcare has improved. I believe firmly, based on my observations and listening on the ground and so forth, healthcare has depreciated.
There you have it. There you have it. 100% in agreement with him, it has depreciated. We have a muted minister of health when it pleases him and depending on what he has to speak about. When it comes to healthcare, for the most part, he is muted. Now, they had a town hall meeting in Grand Roy St. John. The minister and the MP for that area, she invited some of her colleagues to speak on their portfolio. The Minister of Agriculture was supposed to be there, but he was airborne. And so he sent someone from his ministry, I think it was a Mr. Rennie, to speak on fisheries. And then there was, of course, my lady Gloria Thomas to speak on, she spoke on the seed program. The whole thing was very funny to her. She giggled throughout the entire thing. And she spoke on seed. And of course, the Minister for Health was there. And we expected, and they expected him to speak on health. It's a little long, but you have to bear with me because I don't want to really cut it so that you can say, well, I didn't bring the whole clip. So bear with me as I play for you and give you from the introduction of the Minister for Health.
Minister Kerry asked me to talk about health, but Minister Lackert will deal with that. All health is under Ministry of Health now.
Put your hands together and let's hear for the Minister of Health, Jonathan Lackert. If you don't love me now, don't love me later, cause my later will be much greater. It only proves that you love the paper. Grenadians like real stupidest. I know that was a surprise for many of you. Christianity is not stupidity. God also uses your personality wherever he places you. He doesn't get rid of it. Yes? Because he needs your personality to do so. So St. John, good night. Don't sit down there and play butter melting in all your mouth because I know all you could shout better than that. St. John's, good night. Right, shout back at me. I just want to touch three things tonight. But before I do so, our Prime Minister, can we give him a round of applause, please? Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell. I remember around election season, there was a song that said, somebody in a hot spot down in the south. So the lines have been erased now, so we just say somebody. But Minister Andy Williams, Honorable Andy Williams, God bless you, sir, and the work that you are doing in your part of the vineyard. Sister Gloria Thomas, my very good friend, and a lot of other things. You can interpret that how you want. But that's my very good friend, caretaker for the constituency of St. Andrew Northwest, and MP Delma Thomas for the constituency of St. Andrew Northwest as well. Can we give them all a round of applause? I don't have a word to really describe my relationship with Honorable Kieran James. I don't know if it's to describe it as big brother. Well, that's Andy's job, actually. I don't want to take I don't want to take the minister's portfolio of big brother, so I'll just say shadow. I'm just a shadow, yeah. But I think that a number of us, pre-election and post-election, have developed a sort of real symbiotic relationship that we hold each other accountable and we hold each other up and we really inspire and motivate one another. And I think that is the most integral part of any team that you can find, especially if you are in political governance over a nation, that the team must have the stick-to-itness. The team must be able to stick together. And from my heart, what I love about the entire governance of the team is that there are not two heads and three heads. So the team does not function as a two-headed or three-headed monster. There is one head, one chairman of cabinet, one prime minister. We listen, we dialogue, we abide, we discuss. Because at the end of the day, it is about you. Honorable Kieran James, your MP for the constituency of St. John, can you put your hands together and just appreciate the fact that she has stepped forward? I want to speak to you on three things briefly. One, partnership. You have, as a constituency, the opportunity to ensure, and I'm preparing for 27, so excuse me tonight. You have an opportunity to ensure that you partner with your honorable member of parliament in projects and programs that will build the character of the constituency. If there is ever a time that you must hold hands together with your MP, is now. So the narrative about she's young and she's youthful, we know that already. That's physically evident. What we want is a people that has made up their mind, a people with a mind to work that will not undermine the success of the member of parliament, because at the end of the day, St. John, she is representing all persons on either side of the political divide. And if you seek to divide, all you are doing is destabilizing the constituency and causing it to hurt where you are going to hurt the most. Because the people that will hurt the most is you. And if you want growth to take place in the constituency, if you want to see the constituency develop economically and infrastructurally, socially, etc., the only way that you are going to do that is if two heads are better than one. And that is what partnership is all about. So my encouragement to you tonight is to continue to partner with your member of parliament. You don't like something, be frank with her and tell her. Tearing her down will not help. And St. John is positioned at a strategic time within this 2023 to 2027 election cycle period to grow as a constituency, mentally, psychologically, economically, socially, etc. The choice is yours. You either partner or you lose. You lose the opportunity to be great. And St. John is great. I am not a St. Johnite by natural birth, but I am a St. Johnite by attachment because my wife is from St. John. So I know the quality. I'm hearing you. I know the quality that you produce. Look at Kirani James, our ambassador. Come on. Our sport ambassador. The one and only. So you have the ability within you to produce great things. And as a result of that, nothing must stop the partnership with your MP to continue that production. And I want you to partner. Invest. Now is the time to invest in the infrastructure of St. John. Now is time as you partner to invest in the youth of St. John. Now is time to invest in the institutional knowledge of your elders in St. John. Now is the time to invest in the agriculture sector of St. John. Now is time to invest in climate resilience and energy, healthcare, etc., education in St. John. Every sector of government must be seen and evident in every nook and cranny of St. John, because you have an MP that is a champion for her people. And when you partner with her, the investment will be greater. So partnership, investment, and stability. If you want the seat, next time around, you have to stabilize the ground. There is no other. In fact, we don't have much time. And now is the time for you to stabilize the ground. Stability is important. Because you are not easily moved. You are not easily distracted. You are not easily attracted and disturbed. So together you have to make up your mind, constituents, both left and both right, that you are going to work with a sense of focus. 6 months in every year is littered with holidays and weekends. We don't have much time. The onus is on you tonight to ensure that collectively St. John continues to have stable representation. Stable representation. Representation that will cause you to understand that there's value in the people of St. John in every community. So partnership, investment, and stability. Peace. And when you work with those three, I believe that you and your member of parliament and the teams and structures she has built around her will be successful and are forced to reckon with her as a constituency. May God continue to bless you and keep you as you build St. John.
Now, I could understand why the Honorable Prime Minister, Nico Mitchell, always airborne. You know, when you're married, you have your wife, your husband and children, and there are always nonsense going on home, issues, and you don't want to go home. You know, you go to work and you tend to forget the worries and the problems. And then when time to go home, you're like, oh Lord, I have to go back and face this. So you find things to do, you find places to go all the time. So it's always, and let me tell you, the new tagline, up, 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 and up. Oh, how it suits them well. Because they always up, 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 and up. Now, I'm a God-fearing person, totally. But there's a time and place for everything. And you're coming there to talk about health and all this thing about Christian and singing a reggae. I didn't understand what was going on. Besides, I think the people in the audience was lost themselves. You guys would have to go back because some of you might not have been paying attention to the audience. You must pay attention to him. But you must go back and look at the audience. And for the most part, people watching him like, what are you talking about? And 3 or 2 persons might make a little clap. Pay attention. They discussed it with them. You understand? Anyways, this man mentioned health care once in a general way. Once. He is the Minister for Health. You come talking about election 2027 when people going into that hospital, mothers going to have their babies, both mother and baby died. When or in some cases babies died, leave mother, some cases mother died and leave baby. Yeah? I just tell you about a gentleman who died from getting an infection while he's in the hospital. I've heard about it before. This is not the first time. I told you of a child, a young child who died from appendicitis. I don't die of appendicitis anymore. You come there talking about election 2027 carrying on as if you on the lands in a rally, in a pocket meeting, you in a town hall where you come and address the issues of healthcare, and the people tell you what they need in St. John. They have a polyclinic that's just a building operating as a surgery. That's the best thing they could give it. I'm not even going to say health center. Operating as a surgery. And you come there talking about partnering and a set of nonsense. And you the Minister for Health, and you in a town hall and not once you spoke of the issues of healthcare, but generalize it with a set of social distance. Are you serious? The thing is, that's when you have big mouth. Big mouth. In the Senate to explain to us what we don't have medicines and materials and reagents and so at the hospitals and the health centers. Again, it's some animated theatrical performance. All about things that don't concern. We don't want to know about the money the pharmaceutical companies making. We want to know and to secure the lives of our human resource, which is in fact, as the Prime Minister stated, is our greatest asset. And so we want to be saving lives. Listen to him.
Madam President, pharmaceutical companies, they boost and they drive the global economy. In 2022 alone, the global pharmaceutical industry, it was a $1.48 trillion industry. Huge, massive amount of money. They also drive the medical process as it relates to research and development, and in some regards, bettering the quality of life for all peoples across the entire globe. With that being said, upon assuming office in 2022 last year, we recognized that there was a backlog of invoices that we had as it relates to honoring our commitment to OECS PPS, that's our regional pharmaceutical procurement process. And as a result of that, we moved speedily to ensure that these backlogs of invoices were taken care of in a timely manner. I would like to report to the nation that to date, we do not have any of these invoices that we are owing to. And as a result of that, the procurement of the pharmaceutical process moving forward should be much smoother. Yeah. Over the past 11 months, we have done our best to ensure that we cleared our bill with OECS PPS so that we can have access to the pharmaceuticals that we so desire here at our main tertiary medical institution on island, and also some of our subsidiary institutions as well. You must understand also, Madam President, that whenever you have a backlog of invoices, especially with these kind of regional bodies, they don't honor your requests for pharmaceuticals, regardless of how dire your situation is. As a result of that, my team and I, we moved speedily to ensure that we engaged pharmaceutical distributors here on island, as well as pharmacies, to ensure that in the event we have another incident like that happening, our local pharmacies and wholesale distributors can assist us in ensuring that the gap is filled with the pharmaceuticals that we need until. Yes. So at this particular point in time, we did receive a stock of pharmaceuticals last week, I believe, and we have since distributed that to our general hospital and also subsidiary institutions. And we trust that things are going to be much smoother moving forward.
Move speedily? Well, what kind of speed is this? And a whole lot of babbling, saying a whole lot of nothing. Listen, none can help the other, you know. I sometimes say to myself and to others, Lord, what have we done to deserve this? What have we done to deserve that bunch? What have we done? And it's either he preaching, or as I say, some theatrical, animated. What is this? Just listen to it. Just listen to it.
An NDC government will ensure that youth in agriculture and fisheries, youth in diplomacy and diplomatic affairs, youth in sport, medicine, and sport leadership, youth in every division of every area and sector of government will be visible at every level of our political structure.
This man just need to be in a church on the pulpit, come out from our halls in the ministerial complex. They need to be, and not reshuffled, you know, they need to be removed. They need to be removed. T.D. Jackson had nothing on him. Nothing on him. You know? And it's just, I have a question for the Minister of Health. From a concerned citizen of Laborie in St. George South East constituency. Why is the healthcare center in Laborie closed for almost 2 months now? Not a word was told to the people. They just saw the place shut down. Nobody said nothing. And it's shut down. And they serve the people of Hopevale, Petersville, the Bocas, Creighton, Parade, Upper Mount Parnassus, Lower St. Paul's, Lower Mardi Gras. And it is shut down for almost 2 months. I want to know whether all the elderly people going to check their little blood pressure and their diabetes, do their checks. Look. Mouth open, word jump out. Foot and mouth disease continue. I came across some clips of the Prime Minister speaking not of the low-income housing, but very relative. And so I thought I'd put it into perspective. As he would say, he likes to call it the affordable housing. And I could understand why he does, because the description, the meaning of affordable housing is inexpensive, reasonably priced. And the example given for that is affordable housing. As I was saying, the clip was not about the low-income housing. I found but it's applicable. You understand? It meshed in. Now let's hear what he had to say.
So as an Imani, I want you first to shelve that title. If you are caregiver, you are caregiver. If you are teacher, you are teacher. You're not an Imani. That's one. Two, all of you are working on contract work. All of you are working on contract work. The only reason you are working on contract work is because the government wants to be able to manipulate you, fire you when it wants, deny you benefits, deny you pension, deny you gratuity. That is the only reason. So when I said in response to the question that we will make the Imani workers who are working, and I underline working, permanent, it is no gimmick, it is no joke. If you do not pay your citizens a living wage, you are confining them to poverty. And as the government, we have to lead by example. We have to lead by example. If the government treats its workers that way, what do you think private employers will do? So for those who've been called Imani, for the mothers who have 2 and 3 children and who are working for $800 and $1,000 and $1,200, we know you cannot survive on that. We know you are part of the 35% that the World Bank says is living in poverty. And as I've said, we will transform this. We will recognize you as a full worker in Grenada. So citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, Carriacou, Grenada, and the 16th constituency of Grenada, the diaspora.
That were the first grouping of workers that one of the first said that was victimized was the cooks, the same cooks he's speaking about there. On entering on the 24th of June. You see, these poor people that the Prime Minister spoke of that are living in poverty and the ones that can get loans in the bank are the same ones who fall in the low income bracket and the ones whose salaries are 800 and 1000 and 1200 bracket and can qualify for that loan. These are the same ones, Mr. Prime Minister, who cannot qualify for the loans for the low income housing. These are the same ones you're talking about. These are the ones that are there are those who are receiving salaries of 1,500 to 2,000, 2,000, and still cannot qualify because they don't have the collateral and the security needed. After all, they're not members of the cabinet. They're not that fortunate. These are the low-income earners who your government are asking to go to the bank to access loans to purchase the gifted houses, units that was gifted to us by the Republic, the government and people of the Republic of China. You and your government have hijacked, and in an effort to distract from the, you all come up with this equity, and generational wealth, this narrative, making it sound good. But if you don't get the loan, how are you going to get the equity and how would you have the generational wealth you're all speaking of? These low income earners, how would they get this equity if they can't access the loan? The chairman of the Housing Authority said the banks did not get back to him. I think we need another one of those press conferences so they can update us. If the banks came back, what are the interest rates? How many low-income earners have since gotten loans to purchase houses? Because what I'm hearing is mostly middle-income earners who are going after these houses. And in some cases, in a lot of cases, using it as investment, purchasing to lease. A gentleman came up to me, saw me, he said, I listened to you, and I heard what you say, and I was planning to purchase one for an investment. And I think I would not even bother to do it, not even for an investment. Then there's a rent narrative. And no, there's no rent under for $500 and under. And I agree with it, you know. No proper rent. But these people cannot pay rent. These are the people living in rotten, broken down homes, still covered in tarpaulin from 29 years ago with Ivan, and patched with galvanized and old boards and cardboard and plastic. Yeah, I've been to every constituency on this island. I know Johnny now completely. And so for you to speak like that, you have to have not seen where some of these people are living and the environment that they are living in, where mother, grandmother, their children and their children's children all living together under one roof. Boyfriend, uncle, in an unhealthy environment. What we call incest and sexual abuse of some of these poor kids. If you can take them out of them and give them a home that you get free for them and their family. Because even if some of them are able to afford a rent of $500 or $400, by the time they don't pay their bills, they have no food to eat or to share with their kids, with their children. And so on a morning, you see them coming from the corner store with a loaf of bread and a soft drink, a soda. By lunchtime, a ramen. Ramen is what they call it, a ramen. And in the evening, if they can afford supper, another loaf of bread with a soft drink. You know, corned beef and luncheon meat and those things are not in the budget anymore for the poor and the vulnerable. Yes, they are poor and they are vulnerable. So these are not the people we're speaking of. We're speaking of the ones who are low income earners or no income earners. No, or low income earners. These are the ones that the Prime Minister spoke of in that clip. And you're speaking about putting up tax on sugar there for the diabetes. That's a joke. That is a joke. That has no bearing on that because they're drinking the soft drinks, the sodas. That's what they're having for tea, breakfast, and dinner. That's what they're having. Which brings me to the WASH program. The so-called brainchild of the minister, of the Prime Minister, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, better known as the bathroom and toilet program of the former Prime Minister Mitchell and his administration. It's the same thing. There ain't no brainchild or nothing there. Some of you might have heard or might not have heard about the WASH. Here's what it is about.
It is with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to this momentous occasion, launch of the WASH program, water, access, and sanitization in homes.
Toilet and bathroom program, AKA toilet and bathroom program. Let's say the acting Prime Minister.
And let me just say that I feel a little jealous this morning. Jealous of St. David's and jealous of Belial. Because this program is so interesting. And let me give a little joke. On Monday, the Prime Minister and I were speaking, and he's wanting to hardly show emotions. And when he started to talk about the wash, I was looking at him, and he was so excited. And I can tell that this means a lot to him. But let me just say that government is supposed to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. And if we enter into office and we do not seek to make a difference in people's lives, we have not done our job. And sometimes we can talk and talk and talk, and you see no action. And I can tell you, this WASH program, I just saw a picture of what the model bathroom and toilet look like already, and it's so magnificent.
It was done before. It was done before. But it's no fair. Number 10 took care of all of that. The WASH program, the seed program, the youth that Lacret was bawling out about, the youth. My list of retirees are almost, I think it's about 50 now, eh? I'm going to read out to you another time. It's about 50 now. I've been getting names and adding to it. But you're talking about youth. But my lady, my fair lady, took care of all of that in one clip.
Mr. Speaker, that this new bathroom and toilet program, a very first program for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Martinique. We always hear about Sir Eric Gary and the development he has done. But we have never heard of bathroom and toilet in his time. A caring new national party government, Mr. Speaker, during a COVID pandemic, when we collected less revenue, introduced a bathroom and toilet to lift our people out of poverty. So our people not stupid, Mr. Speaker. We can bring anyone and say, we bring in youth. Well, we have youth here too. Are you looking? When I got involved in politics, I was 32. That's true youth, not 44. 44 is no youth because I'm within that age range and I'm no longer a youth. But we have our sister Materian Stott who's missing here. She's considered a youth. That's why she's missing here. And I want to congratulate her on her newborn baby. Mr. Speaker, she's a youth. That's why she can give birth. When you're over 40, you're not looking to make children anymore. There's no youth there, Mr. Speaker. The youth is around here. Kate Skeeter Lewis is a youth. And many of our members here, Mr. Speaker, we started as youth. Emmeline Pierre, and we have other members who can call. The very opposition leader that is talking about youth. He entered this parliament as a youth under the new National Party government, Mr. Speaker. And this needs to be known. So we don't get tired up, Mr. Speaker, and our people are not getting tired about this youthful thing. Because they know that the only government that really cares about them is the new National Party government. We need to look back as we talk about housing. During that time, how many people can say that we receive housing assistance under NDC government? NDC government see housing and improving the life of people, ordinary people as greedy and needy and greedy. That's what they call them. But the only true government, Mr. Speaker, the only true party that truly cares about our people is the new National Party. And our people, they do not forget. So let's not take them for fool and say there's a wave. There's no wave. We're getting tied up in a few areas. Our government will continue to provide assistance. We'll continue to look and develop our people in the house.
I'm about to wrap up. Our wrap-up section, quickly let me ask, is it true that the government is giving up ownership of all playing fields and facilities, and anyone who uses a field without permission commits an offense? So can I no longer exercise or my children train for the sporting events on the playing field in the area without permission? And does that permission come with a fee? I'm asking for Joe Blossom. I have the documents to prove to show it. And I'll read to you the section that concerns us. That concerns us, more importantly. As of November the 7th, 2023, all sporting properties, including rights owned and managed by the government of Grenada, will be vested in the National Sports Council, a new statutory body established to facilitate the development of sports in Grenada. Originally approved by members of both houses Parliament in 2012, during the Tillman Thomas administration, the commencement order was gazetted in November the 3rd, 2023 edition. The order is signed by Minister Ron Reddit. Section 17, subsection C says, any person who enters or attempts to enter any sporting facility or playing field to make use of any such facility or playing field under the control of the council, other than that which is authorized by the council, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $1,000 or imprisonment for the term not exceeding 12 months or both. Food for thought. I leave you with that. Hold on to that right there. And with all of this going on, our Prime Minister leave us. He leave us with them and gone again. He left Grenada to attend a gala in the UK, hosted by the NDC UK chapter on the 4th of November. From there, he went to Dubai to return on Saturday, which is tomorrow, the 11th November. Then he will go to St. Lucia on Sunday to attend the St. Lucia Labour Party convention, comes back on Monday, and leaves on Tuesday for Doha, the capital city of Qatar, to attend a climate change conference. They call it COP. I understand Grenada has a delegation of 32 persons that will attend. Up, up, up. In the meantime, he leave the cat to watch the cheese, in the words of Uncle Tilly. Question to the Minister of MIT. What is the status of the soup man? On March 24th, Superman, the Kirani James Boulevard transformation, according to the Minister of MIT. I want to personally thank Mr. DeGale and Mr. Irving Soupmaster for buying into the vision for this area. A modern booth will be constructed to support this gentleman move his soup business forward. Demolition is expected to start on Saturday, the 25th March. 8 months now, nothing doing. Up, 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 and up. September the 7th, Soupmaster booth under construction. September the 13th, the new Soupmaster coming along quite nicely. New structure will have constant water supply, electricity, seating facility, etc. I'm still looking for the seating facility, and I'm looking for the 2 young girls the minister had sworn from up at Willis. 2 months now, I think it's done more or less. Nothing doing, no water, no electricity, no seats, no income for Soupmaster. He was promised a stipend in between. He received one stipend on the 25th and never again on the 25th of March. Never again. 8 months now, he has no job. And I mean, I am all for the ISO being removed. But promise made, promise kept, right? If you promise to get him something else and to help him, as you say, move his business forward, then do so. Not do a lot of startups all over the place, flyovers, and sort of palm tree, coconut tree, pumpkin vine, and you paint here today, tomorrow, you're just all over the place doing a whole lot of things that the devotions could do. Anybody. We don't need to employ a whole minister. But then again, he said the ideas don't belong to him.
Let me just tell you, I have no original idea. Every idea that I have, I get it from someone. Right? People think that Andy is so brilliant and everything. I have no original idea. I always get an idea from someone. Now, 10 years ago, Brother Cornwall, I could have been in prison. Right? I lost my job. And this lady right here and my dad bailed me out. Right?
As I wrap up this week's episode of Simon Says, I want to leave you with a couple photos. These days I'm leaving you with things to make you either smile or frown. You could smile and you could frown. I smile because you know what? I just ask myself the question, where do we go from here? Below ground? And is that the PRO of the Public Workers Union to my left? Is that the PRO? And to the right, at the very end, and who is that again? Can we go any lower, my friends? But is it true that the PRO of the PWU is now advisor to Minister Lennox Andrew? Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. Thank you for conversing with me always, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. Join me next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Simon Says. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.